I like to address all my cancer patients and the human support system as cancer warriors. And that's how I will be addressing you in all my subsequent talks. Friends, having served for 22 years in one of the finest armies of the world, it will be a bit easier for me to explain various aspects dealing with cancer and its management, with reference to how an army prepares itself for war and finally victory. And that's exactly how I intend to go about it. Once diagnosed with cancer, we are in the war zone. You need to prepare yourself not only physically, but most important, mentally. Our cancer warriors, each and every one of you out there, are fighting this war. For most of you, it came as a total shock. You had never expected in your life that cancer could happen to you. The cancer, like a terrorist, developed silently, it manipulating other cells and its environment, offering bribes in the form of chemicals and hiding under the cover of immunosuppression. It gradually reinforced itself by activating various other cells, modifying its own energy system, creating more blood vessels to bring more food and nutrition. It multiplied itself, developed means and ways to evade the immune system, our army, our white blood cells, and then invaded other parts of the body. You can imagine how, like a terrorist, the cancer cell utilized all possible techniques of war: covert infiltration, espionage, guerrilla warfare, bribes, impersonation, and then, after consolidating its territory, created havoc. It utilizes its advantage of surprise. It hits us when we are not expecting it. We are not prepared, neither mentally nor physically, for this war, and that's why many of our cancer warriors are losing this war. But now, my dear friends, we are together in this. It will be my endeavor to prepare you, both mentally and physically, to fight this war. You may not be physically Bruce Lee, Rambo, or James Bond, but yes, I need you to definitely be one of them mentally. Why? Because they all have one thing in common: the never say die spirit, come what may. A warrior is not a person that carries a gun. The biggest war you ever go through is right between your own ears. It's in your mind. So let's prepare for our war. One of the most important principles in order to win any war is to be not to be afraid of the enemy. Because if you become afraid, you have already allowed the enemy to dominate over you. And in a war, you never do that. What you need to do, however strong the enemy be, is to be cautious so that you can anticipate its next move. In cancer, it's spread. Therefore, be cautious but not afraid. That is, don't be afraid of cancer, my dear friends. I know it's easier said than done. I totally agree with you. Whatever we may say, the ground reality is that we all, irrespective of who we are, irrespective of the color of our skin, our nationality, our religion, or whatever, we are all afraid of cancer. And unfortunately, the damage caused by this thought is devastating. Today, I'll elaborate this critical aspect with the aim to convince you to not to be afraid of cancer, not to let cancer dominate your life. It's your life. You are the master of your life. Don't let cancer take the reins of your life. Before I touch on this, let's see, why are we afraid of cancer? In my practice, before I start my treatment, I make it a point to discuss this aspect with my cancer warriors. The first thought that comes to one's mind when someone is diagnosed with cancer is that I cannot be cured, and therefore I am going to die of cancer. And therefore, the most common reason that I have come across is the false belief that cancer is not curable. We are humans. We are afraid of anything and everything that kills us. And obviously, cancer, my dear friend, is a lethal disease. But I beg to differ. I don't agree with this, and I have my reasons, and I'll tell you why. A lot of cancers in the early stage are curable, and many cancers, even in their late stages, even if are not curable, they are manageable. That is, we can prolong life, but also simultaneously preserve the quality of life. Today, compared to 20 years back, with the availability of so many types of treatment, chemotherapy, immunotherapy, hormonal therapy, targeted therapy, stem cell transplant, CAR T cell therapy, and so on, the scenario has changed so much. Cure rates and overall survival have improved dramatically. Late stages, agreed that many of the cancers are still not curable. But so are diabetes and hypertension. We cannot cure diabetes and hypertension, despite the fact that we have to take drugs to control these diseases for life. We treat but cannot cure, and both of these diseases predispose to heart attacks, brain stroke, which can actually be lethal or leave a person in a moribund state. But have you ever seen somebody being afraid of diabetes or hypertension, despite the fact that they are not curable? Then why be afraid of cancer? So what if it is not curable? It is still manageable. Even in advanced stages of cancer, we can prolong life, preserving the quality of life. It is just our mindset. By being afraid of cancer, it starts dominating all our aspects of life, whether it's our relations, our areas of interest. We start thinking cancer, talking cancer, eating cancer, sleeping cancer. In fact, even in our dreams, we are haunted by cancer. Slowly and slowly, our world gets restricted to cancer. Why? Only because we are unable to get it out of our minds. Instead of living our life, cherishing every moment in time, we start dying, daily dying, only because we are afraid of cancer.